Spice est prête à payer les taxes, mais pas sur une base discriminatoire. Et premièrement, quand Arrakis impose des conditions qui sont invoquées par les acteurs nationaux, qui sont plus faciles à être invoquées par les acteurs nationaux que par les acteurs étrangers, on peut parler d'une discrimination indirecte. Et ça, c'est différent. Comme dans l'arrêt Bosman, là, les footballeurs qui étaient d'un autre pays et les footballeurs du même pays, ils avaient le même problème. Et ceci n'est pas la même chose dans ces cas-ci. Et la partie défendresse a invoqué l'arrêt Humblo. Mais l'arrêt Humblo n'est tout à fait pas la même chose qu'ici, parce que l'arrêt Humblo, là, les États membres ils sont autorisés à invoquer les objectifs sociaux et économiques, et cela n'est pas le cas sous l'article 49 du traité sur le fonctionnement de l'Union européenne. However, the defendant also raised the ICI judgment, but the ICI judgment didn't help fiscal evasion, but was rather about fiscal supervision. So I have the impression that the defendant tries to mislead the court here. And if the defendant wants to lay a smoke screen, it has to do it carefully.
Counsel, I must say that the counsel for the defendant did mention an element that does indeed appear in our case law, namely that different taxation based on objective criteria is acceptable. I would very much like to hear you respond to that comment.
Well, Your Lordship, I do not see how these criteria can be objective, as all foreign retailers are settled in a higher category, and all domestic retailers, they're in the low categories.
But they say they cannot help it because that's the way the market is. It's not their fault.
Well, then again, your court has held that the logic of the system is still subsidiary to the effect, and the effect is that foreign retailers are affected. They are indirectly discriminated.
Yeah, but you know that this court held in the Greek auto tax case that member states, and I quote, member states are at liberty to subject products such as cars to a system of tax which increases progressively in amount according to an objective criterion. In the cars it's the engine volume, here it's the turnover, provided that the system of taxation is free from any discriminatory and protective effect. And then it continues, it must be made clear that a system of taxation cannot be regarded as discriminatory solely because only imported products come within the most heavily taxed category.
Well, Your Lordship, in Commission versus Greek, it was found objective because the different engine displacements were found objective. For example, that higher engines could damage the roads, etc. And here in this case, there is no such objective at hand. So therefore, we do not see how we could apply the case law in Commission.
But let me play the advocata diabolis here. Looking at the facts of the case, could you not argue that the larger an undertaking, the more a danger it is for society?
Well, Your Lordship, that is Your Lordship. I would not say that is true. However, large undertakings have more products, have innovative products, and they have the money to invest in new products which the consumer likes, and they pass them on to smaller shops. So in that respect, I do not see why larger undertakings would be a disadvantage.
Well, it seems to be the feeling in Arakia that it was the large undertakings that ruined the economy, according to the facts that we have before us.
Well, Your Ladyship, I can present you with a factual example. Let us take Aldi, Albrecht Discount. They are a big concern. However, they deliver low prices. So in that respect, I do not see why large concerns could not meet the customer demand. So in that respect, I disagree with your argument, Your Ladyship. With regards to question 2, the defendant tries to mislead the court with gas stations and family trips, as they say. However, corner shops and a lot of other shops, well, they operate on the same market. So in that respect, the reasoning of the defendant is not right. Then again, the defendant said that it used the justifications they could find. Well, if the defendant had valid reasons for the introduction of the crisis tax, then they would not find it so difficult to find those justifications, as they say. This concludes the rebuttal on behalf of the
Could you give us your position regarding question 4A? You didn't have time clear, and I think it's important that this question is also discussed on the parties.
Well, on question 4A, it is our submissions that the minority shareholder protection, in this case, constitutes an abuse of the freedom of establishment. Because for companies, there is no mechanism in order to circumvent the law. Any shareholder can raise that, and that takes 8 months. And then again, the next shareholder can play Russian roulette and say, oh, I will raise again an action. Still, the company is still gone for 8 months and has to wait to re-register. That is not a proportionate measure, Your Lordship.
before fate tears us apart. I wanted to come back to a question I had earlier, and you promised me an answer for later, namely about the impact of the European Social Charter.
I cannot assist the court on this matter in time. I am.
Perhaps if I might ask an additional question, which I also had addressed to the other party. This issue of the objective criteria for distinguishing between taxes, on what level of the discrimination analysis is this? Is this an issue of comparability, an issue of justification? What is it?
Well, the object has been found to be part of the proportionality test. So in that respect, it's part of the justification issue.
Merci.